Okay, so good evening, everyone. This is the third section of our N8N class. I trust we all had an amazing day. So, quickly, let me rush us through what we have for today. Um, Now, like I said in the very first class, uh, I said once you understand the last class, the current class will be built on that. And one of the most sensitive section we've had is the very first class. That was why I took my time. I think it was about 2 hours to explain what we will be needing as we proceed. And the second class will try to build on what we learned. And today also we'll be building based on what we know from the very first class. So today we'll be talking about uh, integrating AI into our workflow, integrating AI into our workflow. And if you still remember the last class, we talked about some layers of AI, some layer of AI, and I remember I made mention that there are a few things that we need to know when it comes to AI automation. And one of the things is uh, there is a layer of your automation which is called the model. And I told you that that part you don't exist on that layer. It has already been created. All you just do is to utilize the services that it provides. And also, I also made mention that we have the API layer. I said the API is that layer that allows you to connect with your model. Then also, uh, I also made mention that API are like your middleman. They are like your middleman, and you don't have uh, to do it yourself. It's just a connection that allows you to interact with the models, and it is not free. APIs are paid for. They are not free, and the reason why they are not free is because you want to consume a service that those model provides outside the model. And if you are doing that, for you to consume that service, you need API, and for you to get an API, you need to pay for them. And that's one of the reasons I said we'll be using N8N Cloud so that we will not incur a lot of cost. Now, I also talked about the other layer, which is the application layer, and I said that's the layer that you exist. The application layer is where you build your workflows, where you build your automation. That's it. That is where you exist. And in our second class, we try to build a simple workflow. And I said the goal of that class was not just to build a workflow, even it's obvious that that was what we were demonstrating, but much more than that, we try to explain those nodes, how they work, what they do, and how to configure them. And I think we did a lot of justice in that second class. If you are here to catch up with that session, please do. And today I also remember I gave an assignment, so I've not seen any response yet, but it's all okay. But let me make something clear. If I understand everybody is busy, but please don't be too busy that you cannot give yourself at least 30 minutes in a day to practice. The world is changing, and every opportunity that will be opening from this moment on, from this generation, uh, at least for the next 20, 25, 30 years, will be around AI. And please, and please, and please, and please, do well to give yourself some time and practice what you've learned. Make sure you understand it. Make sure you can do something on your own so that you don't have to start learning uh, AI again from scratch. Please and please, if you can give 12 hours on another person's job working for someone, I think 30 minutes every day is not too big to give to your own self to improve yourself. Okay, so quickly, AI automation integrating uh, artificial intelligence. I'm grateful for the first class, so I will just build. Prompt engineering is nothing but the act of interacting with your AI model in order to get, some response from them. That's the whole idea of prompt engineering. And in AI automation, when you want to, uh, when it requires that your workflow or your automation should imbibe some level of intelligence, just like we made mention in the first class. If you have not watched that first class, please try to catch up with that one also. When your workflow requires some intelligent process in between, that is when you can use your model. And there are different kind of models, but in AI automation, three most important model that you most likely use is the ChatGPT, the OpenAI, the Claude, and also Gemini. Those are most common model that you will likely use in building your automation. Okay, and each of those models, they have series of models that has been created, and they are being used for different purposes. Like for instance, if you talk about OpenAI now, we have the uh, GPT-4 series and the O series, the likes of GPT-4o, the likes of the O3, the O4 mini, and the which one again? If you talk about Claude, we have the Claude Opus, the Claude Sonex, the Claude Haiku, you know, and also if you talk about Gemini, the likes of Gemini 2.5 Pro, Gemini 2.0 Flash, and all of those stuff. So you can read up those for yourself to see what they do. Now, let me just see if I can give you a brush up on some things. Now, when you are using your models in your workflow, every of your prompt consumes what is called a token. Consume a token. Of course, if you are familiar with your regular chat model like ChatGPT or Claude, you see when you prompt to some point, they will tell you you've exceeded your credit. What it means is that you have exhausted the allotted token that gives you access to enjoying those services. So when you integrate your AI into your workflow, every time you use it, what you consume is what it is referred to as token. Is referred to as token. So if you purchase an API, for instance, now what you just purchase is a token that allow you to consume those services. Now, for instance, if your um, your model now is responding to a particular query. Now, every response that it gives to your query consumes certain measure of token. Consumes certain measure of token. So your input versus your output determine the number of tokens that you consume. So tokens are those assets that allow you to enjoy those services. But however, that's not where we are going. We're actually talking about prompt engineering. How do we interact with our AI? Now, but for AI integration, um, there are three aspects that I want you to note of AI integration. There are three aspects to AI integration. The first aspect is what is called we have the system prompt. And what exactly is system prompt? Now, system prompt is that contextual instructions that you provide to your AI to give it an identity. That is like you are giving it a role to play in your workflow. You are telling it how to behave, the manner at which it should behave within your workflow. That is your system prompt. We also have the user message or the user prompt. Now, this user prompt is actually the particular request or query that your user is uh, using to interact with your workflow. Now, let me break it down. Let's assume you built an automation that has AI capability in it. Now, your AI that you embedded in that your workflow in a particular personality that it assumes, in a particular behavior that it assumes, you know, that system that gives it that role and capability is the system prompt. That instruction that you give it to assume that role is what we refer to as a system prompt. So, but when the user can be anybody. The user can be a customer that is interacting with that workflow. The user can be a, a literally anybody that is trying to interact with your workflow is a user. So for instance, if you go to ChatGPT now and you are interacting with ChatGPT, you are the user. So anybody interacting with your workflow is called a user. So whatever the user is querying with your model, that is that instruction, that question, that query is what is referred to as the user message. So when you are configuring your AI models within your workflow, you will be needing this aspect. Now, another aspect of your AI integration is the assistant message. Now, although this part is optional, but it's also good that you know. Now, there are times you would want your uh, AI to relate with previous conversation, and then you also want it to maintain context within conversations. Now, that is assistant message. That part of the AI helps it to maintain context within your conversation. Now, please, I want to share my screen now so that I can demonstrate this one. Just confirm to me if you can see my screen. Let me do that right away. I want to share my screen. Please confirm me if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, for you to get the best out of your model, for you to get the best out of your model, your prompt, now, like I said, should in case you forget, prompting or prompt engineering is just the act of you interacting with your model to get the best response. So if you go to ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, all these AI tools that you know, and you are interacting with them, what you are doing is called prompting. If you ask ChatGPT, what is so, 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 and so, how can I do so, so, and so, and so, that is what is referred to as prompting. So that is called prompting. So in AI automation, if you are prompting your models and you need a best result, you want your model ChatGPT. When I talk about models, I'm talking about your LLMs. And when I'm talking about LLMs, I'm referring to the likes of GPT, I'm referring to the likes of Claude, Gemini, and all that. So sometimes you might hear me say models, sometimes you might hear me say LLMs, I'm actually referring to the same thing. So don't get confused if you hear me say models and I'm saying LLMs and I'm not calling ChatGPT and all. I'm actually referring to the same thing. So depending on what comes out of my mouth. Okay. So having known what prompting is, which is the act of you interacting with your models. Now, those models, AI models, they are not your regular Google, the traditional Google that you go to. But then what is the difference? Let's, backtrack a little bit. What differentiates Google from your AI models is simple. When you query your Google, you have a lot of options that you need to decide on which information do you need. But when it comes to your AI models, they help you with that problem of having a lot of information to select from. In other words, the traditional Google gives you an overwhelming output and you have to decide and you start going through one link from another trying to figure, oh, I need this one, I don't need this, I don't need that, I need this one, I need this one. But for your AI model, what they do is that they help you streamline those tasks and put them together in one place. So you don't have to go and be visiting one link to another link to another link to another link to another link. So that is one of the key difference between your AI models and your regular Google. And that is the mistake people do today. They interact with this model like they are interacting with Google. And this is why they don't have a good result whenever they are interacting with this model. So, and today we are talking about how to prompt this model before we even dare to integrate them into our workflow. So, in prompting this model, there are structures that your prompt has to follow. There are content, there are ingredients that your prompt must contain or need to contain to have the best out of your model. Now, for instance, let me maybe give you like 6 of them. Let me say, let me call it, let's call it, please, are you still seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's say maybe a structure of a prompt, or maybe let's say anatomy uh, of a good prompt. Let's call it like that. Now, one of the things your prompt must contain is, let me change this to black and maybe zoom in. Okay. So one of the things your prompt must contain is you must give your prompt a role. What does this mean? Before you even try to prompt your AI, you must tell the AI or that model what role it should assume. How should it behave? What kind of expert or professional you want it to be. You see why I say this model is different from your Google. You are trying to narrow it, give it a specific part, a specific personality to assume. For instance, you can say, let me cite an example here. Maybe you can say you are an expert uh, graphics designer. You can, I will just try to give different examples. You can also say maybe act, this is just grammar, guys. Act a or as an experienced experienced dentist. Or you say act as a dentist. You see just grammar. Dentist with over 10 years 10 years of experience. I can keep giving different example here. Let's see. uh I think you can say act as a university lecturer lecturer guys, don't mind my spellings. university lecturer with with uh, that have a good knowledge of, I don't know, whatever subject. You specify your subject, whatever subject. Now, what you are doing here is you are instructing your AI to take or to assume this role. So whenever you want to prompt your model, you must tell it what role it should play. You must give it an identity. Yes. Let me put that here. You must give it an identity. Give it an identity or personality. Yeah, that's another word. Personality. So whenever you are prompting your model, you must give it a clear identity. So if you are doing something related to graphics, you say act as a graphic designer. So now what your model now do is it assume that role. It behaves like a graphics designer. If you say an orthopedic doctor or whatever doctor it is, a surgeon, a whatever, it assumed that role. It behave as if it is a doctor or a dentist or whatever position you gave it. If you say as a lecturer, it act as that lecturer. It's not assuming any of that role. That's why I said it is your model, AI models, they are different from your regular Google that you interact with. So after this class, I expect that each and every one of you now change the way you interact with your models. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time. I still want us to do a practical aspect of this. Hopefully, we can achieve that. I've already wasted our time. So, number two, quickly, another thing you must give your prompt is you must give it a context. A context. Your prompt must have a context. Now, what is context? Your context is the background story of what you want that model to do for you. That is, what are you trying to do? Who is it for? What is the purpose of what you want it to do? Now, the context allows the AI to have a guided behavior. To have a guided behavior. So you can give it a context. And an example of a context is you can say uh, let's say a context here, an example. Let me just explain so that to save time of writing. Now you can say maybe uh, let's take an example from the role. Maybe we said a university lecturer. We've already given it a role of a lecturer, and the context will now be, maybe we can say you help or you assist students. We can say maybe you assist students or you guide students or you teach students the concept, the basic knowledge, or whatever. Let's say the subject we give here, maybe let's say maybe mathematics, mathematics. mathematics, for instance. So now the context will now be maybe you guide you guide students step by step on mathematical problems, just like that. So that is the context. The context is it guides students. The context of a graphic designer can be, you know, you make social media design, billboards, and all that. In context, you are telling it the assignment or the role you have given to it. You are telling who who are the audience that it will be playing that role for. In this case, is playing the role, the audience are the students. So another audience can be patient in the case of dentist. Another audience can be social media graphics, can be for clubs, you know, the context. Who are the audience that will consume the services that is being rendered based on the role that you give to the uh, model now. So another thing you can add to your prompt is the task. You give it a task. Every prompt must be given a task. Now these tasks are very easy. They are just a verb. You give it clear specific task. An example of tasks, I like to call them verb. They are action. Yes. Let me bracket that for you. Those tasks are actions that you want your model to perform. An action can be to create. An action can be to write. An action can be to design. An action can be uh, to summarize. You know, an action can be to rewrite. You know, action, verb. Those are action, etc. So your prompt must have an action. Must have an action. An example, you can say maybe write the task is to write a letter of inquiry. The task is to write a step-by-step instruction on how to solve so and so mathematical problem. A task can be to create a social media design for and so. A task can be to rewrite a particular document in a particular format. It can also be to summarize a particular text that you have given it in paragraph, one or two paragraph, uh, 200 words, 300 words. Those are actions. Those are actions. So if you say you have given it a role here, you are giving it a context, the action is what it performs based on the role and the context that you've given it. Another thing that your prompt must contain is the format, your output format. You need to specify the output format that you want your AI to give you back the response. And a typical example of format, I've already used one already, step by step. You can say step by step, step by step. You can say uh, in a list format, list or bullet format. You can say maybe in paragraph, maybe in paragraph. You can also say maybe in a table format. You can say when you are responding, give me back this result in a tabular format, or give me in 2 paragraphs, or give me in a bullet form. So you can say table format. You can even say, I think I've said that one, formats. I've said that one already. Summary. You can say give me a summary of it. So like maybe you uploaded a document, a voluminous document to your model. You can just say give me the summary. That is the output of what you want it to display your result. You can specify the length. You can say another output format. You can say maybe in 200 words, not more than 200 words, 100 words, you know, like that. Another thing that you can give to your model, uh, mm, you can give it constraints or rules, rules and constraints. What it should do and what it should not do. Those are rules. Those are rules, constraints, what it should do and what it should not do. Now you can tell your AI, say, okay, after you've done all this, please don't do this. Please don't add this. Please don't use this particular tone. Don't use this particular sentence. Don't talk like this. Don't do this. So your constraints are the rules that guides the behavior of your model. That if your, remember you gave it a role. Let's assume you gave it the role of a doctor, and because it's a model, it's behaving like a doctor, but it is a doctor that is not guided. You can ask it a question from agriculture or from English language. It will still respond that doesn't suit or outside the scope. So you can restrict, you can constrain that model not to go outside the jurisdiction of the role that is playing. So if he's acting as a doctor and someone is trying to prompt it outside that context, you have to give it that constraint that don't respond to any question that is outside this context. Another thing you can do under the rule, you can tell it the kind of tone that it should adopt. The kind of tone that it should adopt. That, okay, I want you to talk in a certain way. Maybe you can say, uh, for instance, maybe you can say, always maintain a warm, I use this a lot, a warm tone. Uh, you can say, or maybe professional tone. You can say conversational tone. You can tell it to adopt that tone. Those are the rules. You don't want it to talk rudely. AI can be very rude. If you use AI very well, you will understand what I mean. Your AI can be very rude. AI can just bring grammar from nowhere and just impute them in your response. And many a times people just copy that because they don't know that there are certain tone that your AI can adopt. You can say uh, persuasive tone, persuasive, persuasive tone. So those are the rules you can give to it. Then another thing you can also do, which is very important, is you can tell it maybe not to use or include personal opinion. Depending on that, you can read on that. You can say you should avoid avoid unnecessary grammar, unnecessary unnecessary grammar, as simple as that. Now another thing that you can give to it is you can cite an example of what you want it to do. You can give example, you can give example, you can give example to your method. Now this part is actually optional, but then you can still use it. It is also a powerful component of your prompt. You can give it an example. It's optional, but powerful. You can give it an example. Maybe you can say, uh, um, let's say you have a particular structure of what you like. You can specify that structure in your prompt. They say you say, okay, an example use this example, something like that. I don't know if we get what I'm saying. You can give it a particular format of what you want it to use. Yes, that's an example. So let's see how we can combine these all things so that we not overwhelm us together. Let's say we want to achieve our AI. We want our AI to maybe respond to an email. Let's say maybe respond to an email, or maybe let's cite an example, a full prompt. Let's say maybe example of prompt, example, or prompt example. Guys, this is just example, please. So our example is, let's say we want our AI to respond to email. So let's say maybe AI email response, response, response. I'm tired, I can't spell. Response generator. Let's say what the automation we are trying to build is that the AI that is embedded there will help us to respond to email, for instance. So how do we write our system prompt so that our AI will not behave out of context? So having known what the AI will be doing, so one of the things we can do is that we can say maybe remember the role. We can say you are a maybe senior. Oh, I just heard the sound. I think maybe it's about to time out. I don't know. But please, if you are logged out, I will try to create another
Okay,
link. Please confirm to me. What
okay,
did you say
Afik.
from your hand?
You are a senior. You just about, 15 minutes more.
Okay, please,
So,
if at any point you timed out, I will try to create another link so that we can rejoin, so that we can finish this class. Is that good?
Okay, sir.
All right, thank you very much. And I'll try to be fast because I want us to build a workflow to demonstrate this. Okay, we can say this is what our model will be doing in our workflow. So we want to give it a system prompt that will structure its behavior and what it should be doing. So we can say maybe you are a senior. Now, of course, we are just writing this off heart. I will also show you how to use your ChatGPT to generate this prompt and how you can streamline it. So this class is actually a very bulky class, but because we now have a shorter time, we might not be able to go into too many things so that we can beat the time. Hopefully, we can finish within the next 16 minutes. So we can say you are a senior. Now note I'm putting senior there because I want it to behave in that level of a senior, maybe uh, let's say maybe customer customer success manager maybe at the firm Innovatech Academy, for instance. uh, I can also attach maybe one more. uh, a I want to describe what the firm is doing now, which is the context. I say the firm Innovatech. I can say an academy. Okay, let's say maybe a tech academy that trains uh, maybe students. Now see, it is becoming bigger now. Who are the audience? Who are the audience? If I say students, that means it doesn't include working class. If I say uh, teachers, that means it won't be responding to them as if it's talking to students. So maybe let me make it bigger. Let's say maybe uh, African youths, or let's say yes, let's say Gen Zs, Gen Zs, or let's not be too crazy now. Let's just streamline. Let's say secondary school, or let's say African youth. I think that should cover for Africa. Africa youths, youths, trains Africa youth in AI automation. So that is the role. That is the role. That is what I want to. Sorry, not the role. That's the description of what I want to do. So if I want to write my prompt now, remember the first thing is the role. I can say, okay, let me specify. Let's say the role now. So we can say you remember is going to be responding to emails. It's an email response generator. So we can say you handle you handle customer support emails with uh, uh, let's say maybe warmth, let's say efficiency, with efficiency and deep You can say deep or good knowledge. So it's just the same thing when I said of 10 years of experience. 10 years of experience. So it's just I'm just putting it in another way. So we can now say again, maybe say your response, your let me break this one. Your response your responses resolves or help users or customers, any just grammar, users resolve issues clearly, clearly, while uh, maintaining maintaining uh, customers' trust in the firm. Novatech. Okay, that should cover for my role. So now let's give it a task. Task. Now this is a one is actually one prompt, but I'm just dividing it so that you see where my row start and end, where the task start and end. Okay, I can actually join them together just for the sake of this class so you understand the whole structure. That's why I'm separating it like this for you. So I can say maybe when giving uh, giving a customer support email. Now, I told you the tags, they are actually verb like create, write, design, they are actions. So I'm telling it whenever you are giving any mail, I want you to write, that's the action. The action there is to write. All this thing I put here is just additional. The main task here is to write. If I don't want it to write, I want it to summarize, I say summarize. So, but the task here is to write. Please, 1 minute, I'm coming. Let me plug in my system. Okay, sorry, my system is about to trip off. So, just have to plug it. All right, so we are on task now. I can say write, um, how should it write now? Let's say write a professional response that uh, now since it's a customer support email response that we are trying to build, there are ways you attend to people, especially when it comes to customer support. If a customer comes to you and complain, you as a customer support, now this is just additional knowledge based on the example we are doing. One thing you must do for that customer is number one, you must acknowledge that that customer is facing that issue he or she is complaining about. You must acknowledge that issue. And as you acknowledge the issue, the next thing you must do as a customer support is you must provide a clear solution for that person or the way forward. Then the other thing you need to do is to assure the customer now that okay, they should not lose trust in the organization. You reassure them that the company are always there to ensure that they're enjoying the best service. So that's just additional knowledge based on the example that we are looking at. So I'll say when giving a customer support, write a professional response that maybe, let's say, acknowledge acknowledge oh Jesus, that acknowledge let's say the customers issues. Then we will now say provide a clear solution and or way forward, anyhow you want to put it, just grammar. Yeah, or maybe next step. Yes, next step. Then I can now say and close with an offer for further help, for further assistance. So if you have spoken to maybe First Bank or any of these bank customer service, you understand what I'm saying here. In the end, after solving your problem or giving you uh, the way forward of what you are to do, you see them ask you, is there anything you want us to help you with? Would you like any further assistance? Now, that is an example of how you should close this kind of responses. Now, another thing you can do, I'm just explaining what we have talked about in our prompt, how you can put them together. Okay, let's specify maybe output now. Output format. Output format. I can say maybe I can say uh, begin subject line with re. Of course, because it's replying to image, so it should begin with re. It should begin with re. Another thing I can also say is I can say greet the customer, or greet with the customer's first name. Then I can say uh, this is format, man.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
All right, thank you. So sorry for that. I will be rounding up soon. Uh, Let me share this screen. So you can just do a whole lot with this. Maybe you can say uh, uh, maybe give or write, maybe you can say you should write 2 to 3 short paragraphs, so that you should not just write lengthy word paragraphs. If you want bullets, you can specify. I can say paragraphs with maybe without bullets, with no bullets, with no bullets. That is it. If you want to specify the number of words, you can also do that. Just a lot you can do. I'm just giving an example. So another thing I think is a constraint. Yeah, use our constraint. We can set our constraint here. Constraints. We can say never make promises. AI knows how to make promise. We can just say never make promises. Never make promises about specific uh, specific timelines. Don't make promises. Now, it will also don't push blame. Do not push blames. We can also say constraint, what it should not do. What it should not do. Then we can also say maybe very important, I think this one. Maintain a human tone so that I will not be speaking like robots. Now, if you want to give an example, I said it's optional. I think it was optional, yeah. Yeah, it's optional. But you can still give example if you want to. Just trying to put everything together. And typical example is you can say the subject line should just be in this format. Maybe remember we said it should say, remember we said we gave it where is it, yeah, under the output format we say subject line should begin with re. So I'm now citing an example. So you should say maybe re, then you should specify the issue. Maybe the user gave an issue and he wanted to respond. We just say maybe re I can say maybe uh, issue, or maybe dashboard. Let's assume the user complained about dashboard and we wanted to reply. We can just say maybe reply dashboard not loading. So you should just reply like that. And then in the body, you can just say, we said it should reply with the first name. We are giving it an example of how we should do it. Okay. You can just say, hi, John. Thank you. Thank you for reaching out. I I can see, or let's say I can feel your frustration, like that. So whenever the user sends any message about their complaint, it will just reply I with the person's first name, because we specify it should take the first name. It's going to take whatever is the first name of the user, and then it will make this statement. Thank you for reaching out. I can feel your frustration, and then it will begin to write all other things. So if you want to give an example, this is how you give an example. If an example of how you want it to respond. So that's the typical example. So now this is how you write your prompt when you want to interact with your AI. So as from today, try as much as possible whenever you are prompting your AI, either ChatGPT, either Claude, follow this format and you will get the best result out of your prompt. Okay, so now let's quickly go to our anything and see how we can integrate our AI into our workflow. So we are just going to do just something similar to what we just demonstrated now, but then AI will be the one doing it for us. So no need to explain too much. The first thing whenever you want to build your workflow is your trigger. Uh, and our trigger this time around will be on chat message. So when our user interact with our model via chat, so I'll just pick on chat message. I'm not doing anything here other than just to make the chat available. What I mean by this is I want other users to be able to access it, not just within the N8N. Now you can see here under initial message, it's saying, "Hi there, my name is Nathan. How can I assist you?" Now, since we are trying to build an agent that interact with the user based on a specific personality we want to give it, let's say we want it to respond. Let's say, my name is uh, defer assistant. Let's say I'm defer. Let's leave there. How can I assist you today? So just period. This is what the user sees. Remember, we are just trying to build a workflow to relate with what we discussed on prompt. All right. I will just leave it as this, simple as this. This is the first message the user will see, just to welcome the user. And the next thing, I have a lot of examples on my head now. Uh, okay, let's go with AI agent. Now, AI agent is a particular node in, first of all, what is an agent? An agent is actually a system that performs tasks autonomously. It will perform tasks by itself because you have configured it, you have empowered it to do so. Remember, we just finished prompt engineering now, and we show you the structure of a prompt. You have given it a role. It's now behaving like that role automatically by itself. You have given it a context, it's now behaving within that context based on the role. You have given it a restriction, boundary in which it should not exceed, and is behaving within that constraint. So an agent is that system that now have that capacity based on those configuration that you have given it, those contexts, those role, those tasks it should perform, is now performing those tasks autonomously, automatically, without you now needing to interfere into it. That's an AI agent. So we bring in our agent here, and there are three parts of our agent. Our agent, let me close this now, requires, or it consists of three parts. You can see here, the first one is your chat model. That is the brain box. This is where it uses to interact, to get its response, to reply back with the user. This is like the brain. The chat model is the brain. And remember, I told you anytime I made mention of chat model or LLM, I'm actually talking about your GPTs, your Gemini, your Claude. That is the brain. Now, your agent also requires a memory. The memory is how it keeps track of previous conversations. If you interact with your typical uh, ChatGPT very well, if you observe, there are times when you are prompting it, it get to a point, it cut you off, it ended, or it ends that conversation for you. It's going to end it for you. So that is the memory. So once you exceed that memory, that chat is going to end. And that memory is also how it keep tracks of the context of your conversation. So the moment you start your conversation, it keep tracks of that context so that it will keep replying you within that context. So it will not go outside that context. Now, another component of it is your tool. Now, your tool, there are times you will require that your agent do other things. Maybe you want your agent to be able to assist the user to schedule a meeting with you. Then you can add, those are two. You give it that tool that will allow it to be able to schedule meeting. If you want it to collect lead for you, maybe to gather some lead, you want to give it that empowerment to do that. So any extra task or capability like creating a meeting, collecting lead, or sending messages that you want your agent to perform for you, you will add it to the category of your tool. Now, so let's just go through the configuration, how you configure this your agent. Now, if I open the agent, the first thing first, I need to now I need to select this connected to a chat trigger. Of course, I connected it to a chat trigger. Now, if you see the user message, I told you about user message. I said, when I was explaining, where's that part again? Oh, I didn't write it. When I was explaining, uh, oh God, your AI integration, I said there are three aspects to it, which is your system message, your user message, and the assistant message. Where I said the system message is where you describe what your agent should look like, where you give it the role, the actions, and all that. And I said your user message is where you the user is now interacting with your model or with your agent now. So if your user is asking your model what is so so and so, that what is so so and so is what is referred to as the system message. Okay. All right. But I need to execute the previous node. Now you see it's giving me option down here to execute. Maybe let me just interact I. Now this hi I typed is the user message. Now it's saying it must be connected. Of course, I've not connected it, so I just needed to get this input. That's why I connected that. So if I go back to my agent, let's try to see. In my source, let's select define below. We want to specify the prompt, where the prompt is coming from. And the prompt is coming from the chat input. Whatever the user typed should be the system prompt. So I will just bring the chat input. Come on now. I think I just did something wrong there. Agents. Okay. So I will just drag this. First of all, don't forget, I want to define it. And I'm defining it by dragging this into this place. So I told you this $JSON allows you to get input from the previous node. So we are saying from the previous node, get the chat input. Whatever the user is typing, get it. That's our user prompt. That's the only thing you have to do there. Then the next thing you need to do, we need to add an option. Here, we want to add a system message. Of course, we just finished talking about system message now. And I told you in your system message, that is where you have to give it a role and how it should behave. Now, let me quickly go to maybe ChatGPT. I said I was going to give you show you how you can use ChatGPT to now just describe what you want with ChatGPT. Let's say maybe what should we tell ChatGPT now? I'll just describe what I want for ChatGPT and it create the prompt for me. I will just say write, that's the action to write. Write a prompt, system prompt. I can use on my N8N AI agent that guides guides user step by step on AI and auto let's say AI automation with N8N. Okay. Uh, okay, let me just keep it simple. Let's see what AI gives us. Let's see what AI gives us. Okay, see, it has given us something here. You say you are an expert, consultant, specializing in blah blah blah. He's giving it. Is you see, he say you should act like an experienced automation engineer and mentor. We'll talk about prompt engineering, so this should not be a problem. So let me just see if it covers what I want. Okay, you see the conversation style. You say it should be friendly, concise, and all. And what again? Step by steps. Okay. 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 It covers error handlings and debugging. Let's see. Let's see if there is a constraint. Okay, so I think there was no constraint actually, but let me use this opportunity to demonstrate that something for you. So I will just copy that. I'm not editing anything, just so that we can go out of this class. So I can come to my system prompt here. I'll just expand this so that you see the whole thing clearly. So I've pasted what I copied in Claude. Did I just say Claude? I'm not going to edit anything here. So let me just close it because I want to demonstrate something. Now, if I just close that, let me just refresh. Okay, so look at, if I try to interact, hope you can see my bottom screen here. Please confirm if you can see this part of my screen here, the bottom here.
Yes, sir, I can see.
All right, so if I say maybe
Go
hi,
ahead. Showing.
you have a question?
I think from my own end, it's not showing. It's not displaying the screen. I think maybe it's network.
You are not seeing my screen at all?
Not some, not some.
Okay, let
It's
me
displaying now.
stop sharing and sharing again.
It's displaying now.
It's displaying now. Okay, good. Now, so I was asking if you can see the bottom part of my screen here. You see where my cursor is dancing? I guess everyone is seeing it. All right. So if let me interact. If I say maybe hi, for instance, now you see it's saying AI agent, a chat mod model subnode must be connected. What is it? What's the meaning of this? It's saying that this agent is configured, but it doesn't have a brain. You see now, it's trying to interact with the brain, but it's not seeing a brain. So let's give it a brain. So I'll click on this place and give it a, a brain so that it can think. Uh, let's say OpenAI chat model. Let's add ChatGPT there. Now, this place is where you connect with your API. I already done my connection. If you need, please, is anyone demonstrating with me?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay. If you need an API, I can give you an API, but it comes with a price of just 3,000. I'll give you an API that you can use to connect with this. I think the cloud version gave you a free access for you to test with just 2 prompts. So, but then you can still use that one, but it only allow you for I think maybe 2 or 3 prompts. But if you need an API, I can connect you with an API, but it will cost you just a token of 3,000. Um, so I've already connected my API here. You see, use your own API, and the connection is done. Now, what model? There's no time. I wanted to explain all this model, but let's just go straight away. We use the lowest model here. Let me use 4.0 mini we do since we just want to respond. And what else do we need to do here? The moment you configure your model, that is all. Your AI now have a brain to talk with. Okay, so let's demonstrate something here. Now just refresh so that error goes away. Okay, so let me execute again. If I say hi, for instance, and you see he's trying to think, he's assessing the model. Now you see, he say, hello, how can I assist you today? Are you looking to automate something with N8N? Now, let me see if I ask a question outside the context. Maybe I say, what is agriculture? Agriculture. Now you see, my AI, my artificial intelligence is not intelligent enough because I told it to act as an AI automation engineer, but now he's still answering question about agriculture. This is not an intelligent workflow. If you do like this, if you impute this kind of agent in your workflow, your agent will not be intelligent. So what do I need to do? I will go back to my system prompt. I will give it a constraint. You can just put it basically anywhere. Uh, Maybe let me put it here. I'll say maybe uh, I can just give it and say maybe do not respond to query outside this context. This line alone should at least stop our agent for responding to anything that is not about automation. You can see he's already defining agriculture here for us, and it's an AI automation agent. Please 1 minute. I think my socket disconnects. Let me plug it back. All right. I think it's still not charging. Okay, I think it's charging now. Where am I? Okay, I think we just added this line. Do not respond to queries outside this context. So let's try our agent again. Let me just refresh so that everything starts from beginning. I'm so sorry I'm keeping you to this time. Maybe we might just stop here and maybe do a catch up to finish up. If I say hi, it's going to respond normally. So let me try what is chemistry. Now you see, he's not answering any question. He said, I am here to help with N8N and automation. If you have any question about AI, workflow, or integration, feel free to ask. Now my agent is at least intelligent. It will not answer anybody or any query that is not within its role. So that is how you make your agent intelligent. Now, that is done. The next thing is I need my agent to be able to, you know, keep track of conversation. So it needs memory. So let me give it a memory here. And a simple memory is just okay, just at least for practice. I'll give it a memory. I'm not doing anything much here other than just to set the context within window length. Maybe we can say 10. There is no way a user can ask 10 questions that he mustn't have gotten the correct answer. All right, so I'll just give it the window length of 10. That's all. Then what other things can I do here? I can, okay, maybe might need to stop here. Then maybe I'll check my schedules tomorrow. If I can make maybe 1 hour or less than that, we can add two here. If I try to add two here, we might spend too much of time. But I will cut it here. Maybe tomorrow I will give updates if there will be a catch-up session so we can finish this agent. Now, let's demonstrate something here. Let's say we want to share this online so that people can have access to it. I'll just come to my trigger here. Remember, I turned this on earlier. I will just copy this link and then I will just paste it on a new tab, or I can share it with anybody. Now, but I'm having an error here. What is the error? I've not set, if you remember from our, is it first class? No, second class, yeah. Second class, I said before you launch them, you have to publish. So I will just click on publish here and it will keep track on the log, the version I publish. I just say publish. Okay, got it. All right, the moment I publish, I'll just refresh this window and you see people can now interact with my agent. If I say hello, it's going to respond. How are you? Do you need any assistance on automation with anything? I can say, what can you do? What can you do? So it has listed all that it can do based on the rule and the constraint that I have given it. You see, that was why I took my time to explain the structure of a good prompt. So let's see if I ask it another question outside. What is fish farming? Fish farming. So you shouldn't respond to any question that is not okay. You see, it seems like you are interested in fish farming, but that's not within my area of expertise. If you have any question about automation or how to use anything for real project, feel free to ask. So this is example of an AI agent, and you can integrate this in a workflow, and it will help you to do certain things in your stead. Please let me cut it off here so that we can go and rest. If there is time tomorrow, I will see if I can schedule a class so that we'll work with the tools, and we'll finish uh, the class. Please, if you have any question, please you can ask now. Let's see. Okay, if there is no question, just a few announcements. Uh, the last session will be by next week, I think. I hope you are working on your project. I remember we I said you should prepare your project since the very first class. If you have forgotten, please rewatch the first session. By now, your project should be at least ready, because the goal was every class, anything you learn, implement it on your project so that it will not be overwhelming. All right. So there is a book on Seller on automation that guides you. It's a practical book that guides you. If you are interested, just indicate on the group. I will try to see how I can get the link so that you can check it out. Then also, uh, we understand that a lot of you have been asking on whether or not you will get certificate, and I think there's a post that was made as regards to that based on the meeting we had with the authorities, and it was concluded that the certificate is going to come at a cost because this was not scheduled initially. There was no plan. The first cohort we had this year, I think that was around March or so, there was no certification for them. So if you want a certificate, the conclusion from the meeting was you have to request for the certificate, and not just request, you have to submit your capstone project. Even if you pay for the certificate, you can't just buy our certificate. You must present your capstone project. There must be a project. So while you pay for certificate, you must also, the capstone project is non-negotiable. You must present your project before we can issue you certificate. Then you still need to pay a token for the certificate. But whether you are paying doesn't mean you will get the certificate automatically. You must submit a capstone project to get the certificate. So if you have any question as regards to that, you can ask on the platform. We'll do well to respond to you accordingly. And I'll try as much as possible that this video be published, be uploaded on YouTube uh, tomorrow morning, or maybe if I can do that tonight, I'll do it. And if there's no any other thing, uh, we'll see in our next class. Good night, anyone.
Matter.
Good night, sir.